Hey folks, so Nikon have just announced two new lenses for their Z range, a prime and a zoom, both S lenses, meaning it's their top category in terms of image quality. And it's a good opportunity to now take stock of how far they've come in a relatively short amount of time in building out their camera and lens range. And I have to say, as someone who just sold off my entire Nikon F-mount kit a couple of weeks ago, if you haven't seen that already, check the card or the link below. After over a decade being a Nikon shooter, I'm in the market scanning what the options are to see where I'm going to go next, and I really hope that Nikon continue to do things in the right way. So in this video I'm hoping to run you through the two new lenses, but then also give a little bit of a reality check of what they've done so far, what I think they need to do next, what gaps they have in the camera and lens lineup, and what I hope selfishly that they're going to do next. In terms of these new lenses, let's get that out of the way first. Nikon have announced a 50mm f1.2 autofocus lens and a 14-24 f2.8 S lens. Now, I get it, in a way it's kind of a good signal that they're coming out with a 1.2 prime. For those of you who don't have a long history with Nikon, may think that this is the first time they're producing a 1.2 lens. There's this misnomer that the F-mount couldn't support a 50mm f1.2. That's bullshit. There is a 50mm f1.2 currently on sale right now for F-mount. It's been around for years. It's a 50mm f1.2 manual focus lens, but if you can make the optics, you can build focus motors around that. So it's not that the mount couldn't accept it. And on that point, Canon in their DSLR range and their mirrorless are famous for their 1.2 primes, but back in the day they had a 50mm f1 autofocus lens. It used the same housing actually as the 85 1.2, the grapefruit lens. I've done a video on it like, I don't know, 8 years ago or something. You can check that out. So it's not a new thing, but it is good to see. As I've said so many times, Nikon with their mirrorless kind of went harder on the bodies. The Z6 and 7 were more advanced than like the Canon EOS R and RP, but the Canon went heavier on the lenses. f2 zooms, 1.2 primes, Nikon started with 1.8 primes and f4 zooms. So now Canon have caught up and have put out some pretty incredible bodies, the R5 and R6. It's up to Nikon to step up the game in terms of their lenses and to show us what their second generation in terms of their flagship FX range of mirrorless cameras are going to offer. So, a couple of interesting things. The 50mm, again, I have to say their mirrorless lenses are all optically spectacular. The 51.8 is already great and better than the Nikon 51.4G, which was the top of the line DSLR lens for 50mm. There was a 58 as well. But this new one, the 1.2, is more than 4 times the price of the 1.4 DSLR lens. It'd want to be pretty exceptional, and it may be just me, but I can't see myself spending $2,100 on a 50mm lens, no matter how good it is. If they don't come out with a 1.4, if I did go Z, I think I would be going with the 1.8 option. Yes, it's $100 cheaper than the Canon version. It's still 4 times what their old 50mm 1.4s were. Now, the 14-24 looks pretty great, I have to say. It again is significantly more expensive. The F-mount version, the ED lens, was, at the moment, it's about $1,600. I'll pop best prices below. The new one is going to be $2,400, which, true, it is $600 cheaper than the Sony G Master that they just brought out of the same specs. The thing that is most interesting for me on the new Nikon is that it's going to accept round screw-on filters at the front. Pretty incredible, and they're huge. I think it's something like 117mm, but still, to not have to use a full adapter set, that's going to be really great for people. And I think they said something about you can also drop in filters in the back, square filters maybe, so that's kind of cool. It is great to see they now have 14-24, 24-70, 70-200. And something I have to give them credit for, and Canon really, they have done really well in building out their lens lineup fairly quickly with high quality optics. So one of the biggest teething problems or growing pains of Sony being an early adopter for full frame mirrorless technology was not having the range of lenses and accessories. Canon and Nikon have come out firing, and I really appreciate that Nikon have put out a roadmap making it nice and clear for people like me what we can expect and what's coming. So first off, let's take a look at what they currently have out now. So we've got the 50-1.8, the 35-1.8, the 24-70 f4, great compact lens, 14-30 f4, then the bigger ones, the 24-70 2.8, the 85-1.8, another great size lens, a 24-1.8, a couple of DX lenses, the 50-250, the 16-50, your two kind of kit lenses there. Then the big boy, the ridiculous $8,000 58mm f0.95 Noct, 70-200, the 24-200, the 20mm f1.8, a pair of teleconverters, a tiny little 24-50mm lens, and then the new ones, the 14-24 and the 50mm f1.2. Now, let's also just take a quick look at the roadmap that Nikon have released. So we might as well work our way from the bottom up. The yellow ones are the still to be released, the blue are out. So coming is a DX 18-140, a 200-600mm, a 100-400 S line, 24-105, I assume that's going to be f4. Then a pair of macro lenses, a 50mm and a 105mm, a couple more compacts, a 28 and a 40, great, I'm a 28 fan. And then we already have the 50mm 1.2. So a pretty well-rounded out line of lenses. If you compare it to the F-mount range, no, they're certainly not there yet. But for my money, they don't have too many gaps there. Now, it's going to take some time. They don't, for example, have any fisheyes or tilt shift lenses. Both of those, however, potentially you could just use via an adapter, especially the tilt shifts being manual focus anyway. Personally, what I would really like to see plugged in there as a portrait photographer is a higher quality 85mm. Doesn't necessarily have to be a 1.2, just a top quality 1.4. I would love to see a 105-1.4 along the lines of the E variant they did for DSLR, one of my favorite portrait lenses. And then the only lens that I actually kept from F-mount, the 200mm f2 VR version 2, a god of a lens, unbelievable. But it is long in the tooth and due for a bit of an update. It still on DSLR focuses amazingly fast and accurately, but if they could bring some of that magic dust and bring out a new version for Z, that would be really interesting, especially if they could make it a little bit more compact. For me anyway, that's what would make this a really well-rounded out line of lenses. In terms of the bodies, and this is entirely a personal thing, I don't want them to just, copy and paste what Sony are doing, but I do like the sports range, the high-res range, and the video range as a way of doing it. And obviously Sony then just have the middle range, the A7 as well. If the new generation is going to bump up the resolution, great. I'm more likely to go for the higher one for my stills. So, the resolution bump isn't so important to me. Maybe it just gets the A7R4 sensor in it, maybe a different one. The big, elephant in the room is dual card slots. They brought that in on one of their more entry-level cameras now, but as someone who has hundreds, potentially thousands of dollars at retail price in XQD cards, it would actually be kind of great for me if Nikon made a mirrorless system that I just couldn't say no to so I can make use of these. But having XQD and SD, just like my old beloved D850, would be a great option. Then basically new processor, new algorithms for the autofocus to improve all of that stuff. I would already be getting there. I love the menus, love the handling, all of that. Then with Canon trying hard and kind of getting there with 4K 120 and beautiful color, Sony being there and doing it reliably with the S3, apparently, I haven't touched one. I really, really would love to see that come to the Nikon range. So if they had a more video-centric, lower res model that, maybe had a cooling fan in it so that it could actually do it in a sustained way, or just better airflow than the R6 obviously does, then that could be a real winning combo for me. I still have a deep love for Nikon in my heart. The timing was right. If you haven't seen that video, please do check it out on the reasons why I sold the camera. It really wasn't anything untoward. It's quite funny actually. I think of all the 1,000 odd videos I've put out over the last 8+ years, I've had more personal direct messages from people saying, come on, what's the real story here? What do you really, what's the angle here? People thinking that I have a deal in the shadows with another brand that I'm about to move to. I think I explained it fairly straightforwardly there. Just actually listen to what I actually did and didn't say, and it's all laid bare there. So please do check that out. And 2 questions for you. Have you gone mirrorless? And if so, what was it? Which camera was it that was the tipping point for you? And was it a certain features or something? Or was it just that it was time for you to upgrade your current kit and that seemed like the right move to make? And if you haven't, what would it take? What are you waiting for? And I should reiterate, I haven't said that I'm going mirrorless. I just said that I was ending with Nikon F mount. I just had in the Leica S3. It's fantastic. I still shoot with rangefinders. There are options out there beyond mirrorless that I would consider. I just need to see how everything plays out. So let me know your take on the new lenses and where Nikon's headed as a brand with the Z mount stuff. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do check out artnudeportraiture.com. Just make sure you're not at work because it is for 18s and over, and I'll see you soon.